Hello everybody and welcome to this episode. I hope you're all keeping safe. It's that time of the year again. There's winter and there's snow and there's ice. And I expect some of you out there are wondering, should I fit ice bike tyres? Now in my particular case, I have been riding ice bike tyres for a good few years now, and so I'd like to share that experience with you. Easily stuffable. The same mount you get in the box. I have here three types of tyres. I have a 26-inch 4-inch wide fat bike tyre. The Darlinger tyre has 258 spikes. I have my Ice Spiker Pro tyre, 26 2.1, coming in at 358 carbide tip pins. And finally I have my ride to work bike with a commuting tyre for icy conditions. It has far less pins, and I'll be showing you each of these tyres in turn. I'll also be fitting the Ice Spiker Pro tyre, which I have here. And this will be the third year. I'll be fitting this to my YT120 and taking it out for a quick spin. So I found some black ice, typical of the ice that I would normally stay away from. So here's the ice. This ice here is on an incline just to show how grippy the needles are. And you can see it's got air pockets in there. So that's running water ice, the worst kind. There's also a bit of a dilemma when to fit the Spike Pro tyres, because while they're excellent on ice, their characteristics do not lend themselves to normal road conditions. The other factor is a lot of my tyres are tubeless, and the mess and effort to remove a tubeless tyre to put on a spike tyre for only a couple of days, a lot of faff factor, so there has to be a long stint of cold weather to make sure that this is a worthy effort. So like all of the proper ice spiker tyres that you will find on the market, you will see that none of the pins come through to the inside of the tyre, which means you can run tubes, and on some of them tubeless. So the first of the three tyres is this fat bike tyre, the Darlinger, and you can see the knobs are pretty well spread apart. These are new for this season, so I'd like to see how they get on. Like the Ice Spiker Pro tyres, these tungsten carbide concave pins are sat in an aluminium shoulder. These are a pair of Squamish Ice Spiker Pro tyres. As you can see, they have been used before, but still in pretty good condition. And here is the third tyre, my ride to work tyre. Now this looks pretty wide, but this is a 1.8 compared to the 2.1 of the Ice Spiker Pros. Perfectly adequate for commuting to work. As you can see, it has not very many pins, but what it does have is sips in the tread. Now this tyre has been used for 2 seasons, so being quite a soft compound, it is worn down quite a lot, and in fact this tyre is on its last legs, I would think. Now I have here a pin removal and insertion tool. You may be able to see the hole, that's where the pin goes in, and I'm just going to demonstrate with the tool. It is relatively quick and easy to and then reinsert a pin. Put your finger behind the pin, push down really hard, and then twist out, and there is the pin. To put it back in, push down, put your finger behind the pin, push down really hard, make sure it sits in the shoulder, and then lift out, and there you go, pin back in hole. So with the correct tool, the process for inserting and removing pins is the same for all three tyres. So apart from my ride to work tyre, I do not keep them on the bike longer than necessary, and if anything I do not put them on the bike until I think they're absolutely necessary, because while they're very good on ice, they are not the best treaded tyre on tarmac. So I have here the fat bike tyre. I'm just going to quickly show you how easily it is to damage any hard surfaces and the reason why they grip so well on ice. Hear that noise? Let's see what it's done. So you do need to be careful how you stand up your bike, where you place your bike, and it's quite scary if you put it anywhere near your car. An accidental brush, definitely some marks behind. Now, of each of these 3 tyres, there are 3 types of pins. In the Ride to Work tyre, the Marathon Plus, they have the cheaper type of pin, where there's a tungsten carbide pin in a steel shoulder. In the Ice Bike Pro and the Darlinger tyres, there's a tungsten pin in an aluminium shoulder. The size and dimensions of them are the same. We have here a typical ice bike pin. A good quality pin will be made up of 2 parts. The outer body will be made of aluminium or steel, and inside that will be a tungsten carbide tip. The pin will then be inserted into a tyre lug in a preformed hole. The pin's tip can come in 3 shapes: concave, dome, which is exaggerated here, looks like a flat top, or a point. I have found the dome type pin is generally found on the cheaper pin and is the least aggressive of the pins. The pins can come in different lengths, and generally on an ice bike tyre they are of the shortest variety. Getting the right pin with the right length is important if you are replacing pins. I have found if you fit a pin that is too long, while it may go in the hole, it protrudes too much and is bent at an angle, and eventually it will work its way out of the hole, losing the pin. Now you think, more spikes, more grip. Well, that is the case on ice. You can just ride your bike like normal. If you don't ride aggressively, you can certainly peg it up some pretty steep roads with ice sheet coming across them, no problem at all. That is until you step off the bike where you have no pins in the bottom of your shoes and you go sideways. That's happened a couple of times. But the thing is to watch out for, I found when riding on the road, is tarmac is not ice bike tyre's best friend. Seems a little bit precarious. Don't go near any drain covers, that's just asking for trouble. Where I have found a difference between the density of pins on these tyres that I have is on the Ride to Work tyre, I have to climb a 1 in 4 hill, and there are cases where I've had to get off and walk because the pins aren't enough on the ice. Off-road, these tyres are absolutely brilliant. The grip is just awesome. A notable side advantage, you've got some rooty trails like those slick pine tree routes. Ice biker tyres have no problem gripping on those. However, come across any rock slab type surfaces, especially on an off camber or a slope, ice bike tyres do not like that at all. So that's a surface you will have to avoid, but you can ride over those routes like there's no tomorrow. A thing to note on icy surfaces, while you may have to grip through those extra pins, there is a threshold. You can grip, and if you either going too fast or it gets a little bit steep, they can just suddenly let go and you end up falling over, leaving Wolverine type claw marks in the ice or the rock. Amusing to others, but not quite amusing to yourself. Yeah, leaving behind those Wolverine scar marks, I often wonder if there are people walking or other people riding down the trails, what the hell people are thinking when they see those for about a yard long. Now you do need to look after your ice bike tyres, as while they're super aggressive on the ice, in a way they're quite fragile themselves. So if you're not riding snowy conditions, you can't do aggressive braking or aggressive front turn weighted twists on your front wheel, because this will pull all the pins out. Another thing to take into account is salted roads. On the more expensive pins it's not so much of a problem, but I found on my Ride to Work bike where it has the cheaper steel shrouded pins, they do tend to rust, so you do need to wash down your bike and your tyres thoroughly after a ride. Inevitably, even if you do look after your tyres, don't do any aggressive braking, after a period of time you will start to lose some pins. So where do you get replacements from? Well, I found this particularly difficult in the UK, so there's several options here. You can scrounge around on Google and find someone with some pins, but you still need the tool. You can get pins and tools for boots, but you have to watch the length needs to be quite short. You can also use a donor tyre. I may well do this with the fat bike tyres, since I have a spare set of Ice Bike Pros. I've tested the pins, I've taken one out of one tyre and put it in another. So apart from one being concave and the other one being pointy, this shouldn't be an issue. But you can get replacement pins if you look hard enough. Now, riding with ice bike tyres works brilliantly in conditions where the snow is no deeper than 2 or 3 inches. If you've ridden on sand or ridden in deep snow, these tyres will not solve that problem. It'll still be quite hard going, and that's even the case for the fat bike. The only consolation is the knobs on, especially on this Ice Biker Pro tyre, they clear the snow easily so they don't bind up, and they give that extra traction, but loose snow is loose snow and riding can be quite hard. I do hope you go out and get some, because they do add an extra grin factor and that confidence to ride on trails or even on the road. And you can keep your tyres for a couple of seasons, they're not like just a one-off go. So if you look after them, they will last you. So I hope you liked this film on spike tyres. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. If you like it even more and want to catch future videos, please do hit that subscription button, being sure to turn on notifications too. Keep well, keep safe, and I'll catch up with you guys next time.